Great questions. Our soldiers are entitled to so many benefits. It can get really overwhelming sometimes. People don't always know where to start. Your health insurance, your dental insurance, all of those other benefits. So that's another thing that I wish I would have cared about a little bit more at the beginning. I didn't know what I didn't know.
Hi, welcome to Kitchen Spoons and Combat Boots. I'm Jessie Smith. With me today is Courtney Weisert, and we will be talking about managing your military career. So, Courtney, what advice do you have for soldiers and airmen about managing their military career?
So one of the things that I think is really important is kind of identifying what areas of your life you really have to control, right, to make sure that your military career is successful. So I kind of break it into three pieces. For your average, part-time airman or soldier, you got to think about your family life, your home life, your professional life on the civilian side, and then your professional life on the military side. So I'll start with the first one, managing your family time. In order for you to be successful, you have to make sure that things are okay at home so that when you do go to training, you're not stressed out about, what's happening with my family. Are they okay? Those kind of things. So first off, make sure that everything is good at home. Make sure you communicate with your significant other, with your children. If you have a family care plan, make sure that that is in lock so there's no worries when you're gone to training. So that's one. Two, making sure that your civilian professional career is in lock as well. So typically, soldiers, airmen, they get their drill schedule about a year out. If you're not getting that, talk to your chain of command. But you should be providing that to your employer so that they have plenty of time to make sure that they have shift coverages, etc. For any issues that may arise, soldiers and airmen should know that we do have ESGR that can help support them if there is any issues that arise while they're away, or if there's issues with their scheduling, etc. ESGR can be there to help mediate with the employer. Soldiers and airmen should also know that they're covered under USERRA. So that basically protects them so that, their civilian employer, they have to give them pay increases regularly. Even if they're gone to training, they have to hold their position, all of those things. Again, ESGR, they can help with that as well. And then finally, the third thing, their military career, right? That's the last piece of it. So with that, making sure that you're attending drills, communicating with your unit if there's an issue at home or if there's an issue with your employer. All of the units in the state are pretty flexible when it comes to, making sure that the soldier's civilian life is set. So across the board, communication is key in all three, but definitely on the military side of the house. Because I like to say, if we don't know, we can't fix it, right? So if we don't know what the issues are, there's nothing that we can do to help the individual. So definitely communicating with first line supervisors. Every command has an open door policy, meaning that if there is an issue, they can go direct to the commander if they're not getting what they need at the lowest level. So that's kind of the triad, in my opinion, of how everything kind of works together.
Now, is there anything that you wish you had known earlier in your military career that would have helped you?
Yes, I honestly, when I was young, I joined 17 years ago, at 17 years old in high school. And my biggest thing back then, I was nervous. I was scared to talk to my chain of command because I was young. I was an E1, right? So it was kind of hard to say, hey, I need help with something, or I have this issue, just because I was scared. A 17-year-old kid in a unit with a bunch of adults. And also, I didn't know what I didn't know. So I wish I would have asked more questions. I wish I would have asked for more help, because at the end of the day, everyone is really helpful. And I just didn't know that then. So I would say that's one thing. And the second thing was making sure that I took care of managing my IPERMs. So IPERMs is the record base, right, for all of your military records. I had never even checked it until I think I was an E5. Now it's a lot easier. We have better technology. Most people, you can buy an external CAC reader on Amazon for $15 or get one from your unit supply. And you can go on and you can check your record to make sure that nothing is missing. right? So for people that have spouses or children, you want to make sure that their birth certificates are in there, their social security cards are in there, all of those things, making sure that that is all, updated and accurate, then feeds into making sure that your TRICARE is good to go. So your health insurance, your dental insurance, all of those other benefits will stem from, your military record. So that's another thing that I wish I would have cared about a little bit more at the beginning.
As a human resources NCO, that's definitely something I've harped on a lot for people too. So I'm glad you said that.
Yes.
What are some benefits that you think aren't utilized enough?
Great question. So our soldiers are entitled to so many benefits. It can get really overwhelming sometimes because there are so many things that people don't always know where to start. So right off the bat, one of the easiest things, TRICARE, right? Our health benefits are very competitive. A lot of our M-Day soldiers, our part-time soldiers, they opt into our health insurance because it is so cost effective. Right, for a single soldier, I want to say it's about $50 a month. And for if you're married with kids and you can have as many kids as you want, it's roughly $250 a month. Mm-hmm. So very affordable. There's no copay, very good health insurance. So I would say that's number one. Two, our dental insurance. I think that's around $12 a month for a single soldier. And I think $30-something a month for a family. Super cheap. You're not going to find that on the civilian side. So that's another benefit. Third, we have so many education benefits that I don't think our soldiers take advantage of. We have state tuition assistance, which is you can go to any in-state school, any public school, and it will cover up to the UVM tuition rate, which is the highest, public school tuition rate that we have in the state. So you can go to any Vermont State College, Vermont State University, which used to be Vermont Tech. You can go to Community College of Vermont, University of Vermont, Lyndon, Johnson, Castleton, all tuition free. You also get federal tuition assistance, which is $4,000 a year. So let's say you're going to go somewhere like Champlain. We're going to cover up to the UVM rate plus $4,000 from that federal tuition assistance. And then the GI Bill, that's another education benefit. So that's money in your pocket for those that have been deployed or were on COVID orders. They actually can benefit from the post 9/11 GI Bill, which pays you BAH. So potentially you could go to school tuition free and then also get paid a basic housing allowance. At the E5 rate, I want to say it's around $2,500 a month. Don't quote me on that, but I think it's right in that ballpark.
Ish, yeah.
So that's a huge benefit that people can utilize. And then there's a ton of scholarships out there for not only the service member, but their families. For a service member, we actually have this thing called the Buxton Scholarship to St. Mike's. That is 60 credits every semester that we give away for free. And it's first come, first serve. So it is a full ride to St. Mike's. It's a very easy application process. You don't even have to complete basic training or AIT to apply. So for our soldiers that are, haven't shipped yet, they can still apply and they can start using it up until the point that they do ship. So that's a really good education benefit that we have as well. So we covered health insurance, dental, education benefits. Joint service transcript. Okay, so this is one that I don't think a lot of people know about. Everybody, every time that you complete a military training, it goes on your joint service transcript. So you're just Google, joint service transcript. Go to the site, you're going to put in your credentials, and it's going to give you a transcript that you can bring to a college, and it's going to have all of your military training and convert it into civilian college credits for you. So I'll use myself as an example. I was a diesel mechanic. So I had basic training, diesel mechanic, straight out of basic training and my advanced training to be a diesel mechanic, I had roughly 20 college credits just from going to that. Fast forward, now I have, I have my Bachelor of Science in Marketing, but it's because I was a recruiter. I went to a bunch of different leadership schools, and I have roughly 90-something college credits just from my military training that I've done. So that right there can get you an associate's. So that I think is something that not a lot of people leverage, but can definitely propel them in their military career. Because one of the things about getting promoted, at least on the Army side, is that you're going to be ranked against your peers off of what's called a baseline. That baseline is going to have different categories on it. One of them will be, military education. So they want to know, did you go to advanced leader course, basic leader course, etc. And you're going to get so many points for whatever level of professional military education that you have. Then they're going to look at civilian education. So that right there, if you take your JST and then let's say you bring it over to Community College of Vermont, have them evaluate it, they'll tell you how many credits you have, and now you can use that to help you get more promotion points, right? So again, I think that's very underutilized and kind of overlooked. So everybody listening to this today, go check out your JST, see what you have on there.
What about some employment benefits?
Employment benefits. So we are part of the PAYS program and PRIME program. PAYS is the national level program. What that is when you go to enlist on your enlistment packet, it's going to have you are eligible to have a guaranteed interview with these different employers as long as they're in our PAYS program. For people that are currently in, and this wasn't an option when they enlisted, they can check out our PRIME program, which is Vermont specific, and it's all Vermont employers that are looking to hire Vermont National Guard soldiers and airmen. If you pick out one of their those employers, and you submit your resume, then they will guarantee you an interview. The other thing that we have, if you're looking for civilian employment, we have someone that can help you with your resume. So again, another really underutilized resource that we have. So we have a person that will sit down with you, go through all of your credentials. They'll probably ask you for your JST, and then go through, build that with you and help you. They'll also help you with interviewing techniques, all of those kinds of things.
But that's great, because then those employers already know you're in the military, so that helps pull together the piece where your civilian career matches up with your military career. Yes. And helps manage all of that.
Yes. We also do a recognition for employers through ESGR. So if you have a really good employer that has supported you throughout your military career, now is your time to recognize them. Reach out to ESGR, you can nominate them. I think they have a Facebook page now, so you can go on there, direct message them. Hey, I want to nominate this employer. They will come and do a certificate presentation and recognize your employer, which I think is also a really good way to help build your relationship there.
So one thing I want to go back to, you had mentioned earlier, you mentioned communication. And for me personally, I find that the key to managing any career, military or otherwise, is communication across the board. And so what are some ways that you think that people can utilize that communication to really help them with their military career specifically?
Great question. So communicate early and often. That's my best advice. And what I mean by that is the second there's a problem, don't sit on it. Call your first line leader. They don't answer, call your platoon sergeant. They don't answer, just keep going up the chain, right? So immediately when a problem arises so that it doesn't snowball and get worse over time, because nothing usually gets better with time like that. So communicate early and then often. Regular check-ins, right? If you come up with an issue, bring it up, talk about it, but then do check-ins to make sure that there's progress, make sure that things are getting done. I can tell you, being in recruiting, I supervise almost 13 recruiters at any given time, plus all of their applicants. I forget things, right? And the higher up you go through the chain, like your supervisor or your first line leader, it's not always just you that they have to worry about. And that's not to say that they don't care about you, but they've got a lot of stuff on their mind. It's okay. Check in. I never get upset if one of my soldiers, checks in, hey, Mass Sergeant, do you remember XYZ? Nope, I didn't. And then I re-engage. So communicate early and communicate often. And again, if you're having an issue with one individual, don't let that one individual be a roadblock for you. Go around. I'm not saying to negate the chain of command, but if warranted, keep going up until you get a response, until you get resolution.
Absolutely. So what are some other nuggets of wisdom that you may have since you're embarking on your Sergeant Major Academy journey, so that you think may help people?
So I will say what has truthfully made me successful in my career. I was never the best at anything, right? As a recruiter, I came to the recruiting battalion 12 years ago as an E6. And what has gotten me to this point was, one, being kind to other people. So taking care of the people around me was definitely key to my success, because you never know who's going to be your boss one day. You never know where somebody is going to land in their military career. And if you just treat everyone, the same way and respectfully and with kindness, that favor will be returned. So number one, be kind in everything that you do, because you never know where people are going to land. The next thing, again, like I said, I was never the best. I was never the best recruiter in the state, but I cared a whole lot, and I took pride in everything that I did. So do those small things, right? Do the small things really well. And then over time, you can move on to bigger projects. But if you have a good set foundation and you make sure that you're taking care of all the little things, all the big things will fall in place. And then the last key to success, kind of building off of that, making sure, like my PT, my height, weight, that stuff was good to go. So at any moment's notice, I could go to school. So for both of advanced leader course and senior leader course, I had less than a week to get ready for those schools, and I was gone. And that was because somebody else had, said that they couldn't do the course. So they asked for volunteers. I volunteered, and I was ready to go. But I wouldn't have been able to do that if, I couldn't pass my, at the time, PT test, but now, right, your ACFT. And I think that's probably similar to the Air Guards side as well. Like, just make sure that you're constantly ready. And again, that you have those little things taken care of so that on a moment's notice, you can be successful.
So you're a great resource for people here in the Army Guard for some of the details. Would you recommend a source on the Air Guard side?
Yes. So I work closely with Mark Bohack. He is over in the Recruiting and Retention Battalion on the air side. He's a wealth of knowledge. Anybody over there on the recruiting side, I can tell you firsthand experience, they're phenomenal people, and they definitely care about their airmen. So reach out to anybody in their recruiting battalion, and they can definitely help you get in contact with, whatever resource that you're looking for. And Army side too, all of our recruiters, they're trained also in retention. They have a 3-tenet mission. So Air and Army, sometimes your best resources really are the recruiters, because they know all of the benefits that you can utilize as well.
So we did touch on this a tiny, tiny bit, but being the state SFRG leader, I'm going to go back to it because that's what I do. You said that, there's your family side, and then how can the family members help their soldiers and airmen make sure that they have a solid military career?
Yes. So families are extremely important. I would say they are the most important part of a soldier's career. Personal experience, my husband is in the Navy Reserve. We have 2 kids, a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old. We're dual military, and that can get a little dicey sometimes, especially dual military not in the same branch, because they don't talk to one another. But the way that we both support each other is, number one, communicate, right? You're going to hear this theme a lot, but we communicate about our drill schedules. We communicate about our, if we have schools coming up, we have a family calendar, everything goes on that family calendar so that we both understand what the other one has going on. And then it's almost like a balancing act. So for couples that are not dual military, I think the same thing applies. Communicate about your schedules. What is truly important to each of you, and having that transparent conversation with one another on where are the places that you can flex and where are the places that no, like I have to go to this school or this is my drill weekend, so we need to block off this time for me. And then maybe return the favor for your significant other, right? Hey, you blocked off this time for me to go to drill. Let's block off this time for you so you can do something as well. No relationship is ever 50-50, but there is always compromise. And if you can do those small things for one another, I think that can help you bridge the gap. So, the first thing, definitely communication. 2, I kind of touched on it, but the planning aspect, making sure that you have a solid plan. And then I think the third thing is just being understanding, right? There are times where things come up. My husband at times will know a week ahead of time, oh, yep, he's got to go to a 2-week school. Great. Inconvenient, absolutely. But I never take it out on him because it's not his fault. It comes along with the job. So we both understand that. We both understand that we're a part of something bigger than ourselves. And we want to support that because we do believe in the jobs that we do. So for a military spouse, it's not just your spouse that, they want to go to AT for 2 weeks. That's not it. They have to go to AT for 2 weeks because it's a requirement. So try not to take it out on them, if they do have to go away, or, give them a little bit of time to decompress when they come home too. My husband knows when I come home after work, I need a little bit of time. I need just maybe 10 minutes where the kids aren't crawling on me. He's not asking me any questions. I just need that couple of minutes to kind of get back into family mindset because that transition can be really hard. So, a lot of people are going to be coming home from AT in the next couple of weeks. Even though it's not a deployment, you may think it's low stress. It's different, it's different when every single day what's happening. When you're at annual training, you have a training schedule. You're going to wake up at this time, you're going to have breakfast, you're going to do X training. And then to get tossed back into your normal everyday life where things maybe aren't as disciplined or routine, there's going to be a transition period. So if your soldier comes home and they're a little bit more snippy or things like that, have a little, grace, I guess, and it goes both ways, right? Have a little grace, show a little bit of extra patience because they're probably just going through that transition time of trying to remember how to fit back in and get into the groove of the civilian mindset.
So is there anything that we haven't mentioned so far that you would like to bring up as a benefit?
Yes. So the last thing I want to talk about today is JEEP, the Joint Enlistment Enhancement Program. So for those of you that don't know, you can earn up to $1,000 for every person that you refer to a recruiter, Air or Army, that ends up enlisting. So they have to enlist. And you get $1,000 check. It comes from the Vermont State Department of Treasury. You'll get it in the mail, but usually you'll see that check about 90 days after the person enlists. So that is a really good program that I think a lot of families don't know about. Soldiers, some of them know about it, but I would definitely want to make sure people can take advantage of that. And you can do up to 20 referrals a year. So that could potentially be, an extra $20,000, which is pretty good.
Yeah. So for people who are listening and watching this podcast, if they wanted to look more into these things that we've talked about today, do you have a good place for them to start?
Yes. So definitely check out vtguard.com. There is an Air and there is an Army section. You can click on either one depending on your affiliation. And there's going to be information about Prime, about promotions. If you want to reach out to a recruiter, they're going to have all of the recruiter contacts on there. So definitely check out that site. The other thing, talk to your S1 at your unit. So your training or readiness NCO at your unit, and then definitely find out who your recruiter is. Have a conversation with them as well. I am the recruiting supervisor for Chittenden, Washington, Addison, and Grand Isle. So if anybody wants to reach out to me direct with any questions, 802-274-3830. Give me a call, shoot me a text. I'll respond and I can get you in contact with someone. We also have an Instagram page and a Facebook page, Team Central VTARNG, that's us. Shoot me a direct message on there. I manage all of those platforms as well.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
And as always, you can also call the Family Programs 188 number, which is 1-888-607-8773. Thank you for being with us, Courtney, thank you all for watching.
For more information or support, please reach out to the Vermont Military Family Support Center's toll-free number, 888-607-8773.
The preceding content does not constitute endorsement by the Department of the U.S. Army, U.S. Air Force, Vermont National Guard, or Vermont Military Family Programs of the organization's products and services contained therein. Further, the Vermont Military Family Programs assumes no responsibility for the consequences of using the products or services provided by the organizations or resources listed. Vermont Military Family Programs makes every effort to present our clients with reputable resources. We cannot guarantee the validity of said resources, and the use of such resources is voluntary.